so many people who have opened to their true nature, and you may be one of them, and you may be one of them that's had glimpses. When it happens and takes place, it's such an it's not so much just an aha. It's more like a this is home. This is what I am. This is what I always have been. And how could I have missed this? It's just right. It's not over there. How could I have missed this? I've known this, but I just been, and it's what I've been yearning for. It's like our animal nature, is finally at peace within its natural self, within its environment, even in this human created, constructed environment. Our animal nature is relieved to be in sync. I kind of like to say that word, in sync with, how one can be out of step, or have you ever, heard some music and you're just kind of like, or maybe play music and you're just kind of out of step. And then when you get in sync, it's like it flows, It's just like that. You're in sync again. And that's why Awaken is because we're meant to be in sync. We're meant to be in alignment with our true nature. It doesn't have to be this big, oh gosh, fancy words like enlightenment and so on, as if it's something so far out of reach, or it's really our evolutionary, not potential, because that sounds like it's still out of reach. It's our, it's in what's intended. And we go on this journey, and a lot of it is a mystery. Why? We're forgetful, about our nature. And I have my theories is because we have self-consciousness and we can be self-aware. And the ability to be self-aware creates this kind of subject-object polarization within. Starts young, and we start to view ourselves as an object. So we're able to reflect and see and say, oh, that's a tree, and that's a cup, and this feeling is sadness, and I'm Susanne, and you're, Angela. It's this ability to be self-conscious and be aware of subject-object, but then we turn ourselves into an object, and then the separate self sense is born. So like that self-consciousness ability turns into a separate felt sense. I'm a person, and then I'm a separate somebody from you, which is true, and from my environment, which there's some truth to it, but not meant. I don't know. It might either be a glitch or it was whatever it is. To feel so separate as to forget ourselves and forget that we're one with nature, within nature, and with one another. Actually, that we're an arising, from the divine. This leads to a lot of suffering, right? It's tremendous, the amount of suffering it leads to. And so it's a worthy goal to want to come back home, and it's doable. It's doable. It's just almost like going backwards into yourself and retracing the steps of this of leaning forward into life and imagining that. So when the subject object thing happens, this I'm a separate somebody, and we polarize even within ourselves. We create an inner division. Of course, that inner division is going to feel yucky. And so then we imagine that we're unworthy, We start to have shame and unworthiness arise because we have an inner division. So that feels so wrong that we imagine that something's wrong with us. Does this make sense? So we imagine something's wrong with us, when really what's off is this feeling of separate. So it's really good to kind of bring understanding. Why I feel out of sync, I feel icky, is because I feel out of sync. Why I feel like something is wrong, even within life being imperfect. Something always feels deeply wrong for most people. And that is actually a pointer. But we make a mistake inside, imagine that something's wrong with oneself, when really what's wrong is this having this feeling of separation, is that it's not actually true, and so it feels wrong. What isn't true is meant to feel really untrue and yucky. This sort of a synopsis. Are you following? Yeah, it's good to bring some understanding. I mean it. It's really helpful. It's not just to be like intellectual about it. So then rather than going into fixing what feels wrong, okay, place your attention on that feeling of separation. Is actually, it has clues, it has information. That itself is not wrong. That itself is actually, it can be a pathway home. You go into that which is most obvious. So you feel uncomfortable, you feel out of sync. You don't want to deny that, okay? You withdraw your fascination with the idea that it means that something's wrong, that you need to fix, which is leaning outward from the truth of the matter, and you pull it back in. You say, "Oh, that something inside lives here that just feels, that just knows that it's not right. Something's not right." And that not rightness is intelligence. It's the animal nature of you that says, you're out of sync with your environment. When you're out of sync with your environment as an adult, you can, what does that mean? It means you can die, right? So that'll kick up fight. That'll kick up anxiety. That'll kick up, the gut, and it's feeling fearful for survival. We have to remember that we are still animals, even though we're wearing nice clothes and all that. We're essentially like the rest of the world, and that doesn't degrade us. Because if we think animals are less than us, then we've got a problem. So we emerge from where our molecule, we're made from Earth, and we're born and die, and yeah, we're also made of stars. But so our animal nature is going to be, the anxiety is going to be kicked up of like, I'm out of sync with my environment. What happens to animals when they're not in sync with their environment? They're going to lose their tribe. They're going to fall behind, and they can die from starvation and whatever, right? It's all unconscious, deeply unconscious. So separation kicks up anxiety. Who here has felt anxiety around feeling separate? Yeah, I did. And it's one of the hallmarks of separation. It's also a clue that something's wrong, right? So it's like this big bell inside. gong, 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 wake up. This is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for oneself, and it's not sustainable for you, people in your lives, and it's not sustainable for everyone on the planet. It's not sustainable for Earth herself. This feeling separate, it's not sustainable.